This Bitcoin trader is currently predicting a massive correction on Bitcoin. And as well, a new country has just adopted a new Bitcoin strategic reserve. I will tell you guys exactly here what this is going to mean here for the Bitcoin price. And as well, guys, I'm still up here. Look at this. Now, $870,000 here on my crypto and Bitcoin long position. Let's dive straight into my first position over here. Right over here, let's look at it. Cardano, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all still here in a massive profit. Ethereum outperforming absolutely everything. I'm currently up here almost 1,000% right over here on my Ethereum trade, up almost $250,000, and I'm of course still holding all of these trades here. Ethereum was slightly outperforming Bitcoin over here today, as you guys can see in total here, up almost 1,000%. Beautifully long over here at the bottom, as you guys can see over here. And I'm still continuing here to hold this trade. I posted this trade also inside the Telegram. All you have to do to sign up with the Telegram is just sign up with this exchange with the link in the description and then send me a DM on Telegram. Also check out the link in the description, and then I will add you here to the private VIP Telegram channel where I'm going to be posting my trades and extra analysis and some of my private indicators and all that kind of goodies stuff. Anyway, just still holding it here. It went a little bit down since the last video, but I think we're going to start smashing through that $1 million level very, very soon. And this is also what solicit is over here saying. Solicit is one of the best traders out there. He won many Bybit trading competitions. He says that he's currently short around the current price level. And he's saying, I'm going on to enjoy a vacation. He thinks Ethereum looks very bad with the recent open interest increase. And he thinks that there is going to be a 10% move here, basically down here to about $100,000 as he's saying. He's looking to buy here at around $100,000. And he's saying around almost 1 million Ethereum got added here to the open interest. So what Solicit is actually predicting here is a correction here to the downside in the short term. And it reminds me a little bit of the breakout that we saw actually here back in October of 2024, where we saw basically the Bitcoin price rallying towards the all-time high. And then as you guys can see over here, we had about a 10% correction to the downside before we eventually started breaking up here further to the upside. So if we're going to see something very, very similar as Solicit here is predicting, is a 10% correction to the downside, would set us here to around $100,500. So Solicit is basically predicting a correction over here and then a big move like this to the upside. Wouldn't be too bad, as you guys can see my entry is still over here, so I'm completely fine here. But a small correction, as Solicit over here saying, before a big move to the upside. I tend to agree, and I think all these positions over here are going to, of course, be in a massive profit, but we're just going to have to wait until that correction plays out, and then eventually I think we're going to start crushing towards the autumn high, what we did also here, back over here. Again, back over here this was in November of 2024. Man, time flies, that was 6 months ago. So anyway, that is my position here, and I will continue to hold this position. So anyway, if we look at the funding rate also, we can see the funding rate still very, very heavily negative. I'm going to just remove this indicator here for a second. Maybe change the color here so it looks a little bit nicer. Just go get it a green, the standard color that I always like. And I do it like this. Okay, here we go. We can basically see we're still in a negative territory here in terms of funding rate. So this thing should continue to move further to the upside. But yeah, Solicit is saying he's looking to buy here around $100,000. And, or, but he's also saying, by the way, I forgot to say it, he's going to look to buy it above $110,000 if something changes. But he's not very excited otherwise anyway, what he is saying. And I also tend to agree. Solicit basically exactly said here what I'm also looking at. So that is very beautiful. And again, I'm not going to change the position here, just hold. Regardless, I think as Solicit is saying, we will probably go here further to the upside as well. That was pretty much the analysis here. A little bit simple, but we're just going to have to wait it out. But regardless of that, I think it's going to be to the upside. You know, maybe small dump to the downside. Maybe it's going to crush further to the upside. Really doesn't matter. We're hovering here towards around the autumn high. Once it's going to break, I think this thing is going to be absolutely flying. So just hold tight. Have a little bit of patience, guys. But probably around the next week, start of next week, or maybe end of next week, we're going to have probably an answer here on how high the Bitcoin price is going to go. And we're probably going to start seeing the price speeding up. So let's actually see what's going to happen. Going here quick over to the news. JD Vance is saying that the People's Republic of China doesn't like Bitcoin. We should be asking ourselves, why is that? Why is the biggest adversary such an opponent of Bitcoin? Is the CCP leaning away from Bitcoin? Then maybe the US should be leaning into Bitcoin. This is literally the vice president talking very, very bullish here about Bitcoin at the Bitcoin conference. We also have here the country Pakistan announced established its free Bitcoin reserve. Now, the thing is, I don't know how big this reserve is, but it reminds me a little bit of El Salvador in the Bitcoin conference back in 2021, if I can actually remember here out of the top of my head. They also announced a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and not much happened after that. I think it's something very similar, but again, it's just a slow progress. I think most people get very excited when Elon Musk buys Bitcoin, or Steve Jobs is not alive, Mark Zuckerberg talks about Bitcoin. I think that's when people get really excited, when these big company owners, these famous people talk about Bitcoin. Whenever countries talk about Bitcoin, we generally don't really see that much excitement. We saw a little bit of interest because the president here of the US won the election, but beside that, whenever we see other countries going into Bitcoin, there's not really that much excitement. But this is going to be huge, guys. These are small changes, but countries like Saudi Arabia, India, Germany, whatever, Portugal, there's all sorts of countries probably looking at this that might also actually want to take a part here of the Bitcoin pie. So we also have, again, the president here. The president's company announced a $2.5 billion here in Bitcoin treasury. Again, people are not excited. We have all this news here coming out, but I think this is going to further blast Bitcoin here further to the upside. I mean, if all this good news here coming out, and so far the position is hovering. I mean, we're of course in a massive profit, but I think this thing is going to fly much higher. So I will continue to hold. Probably might be correcting it towards about $100,000 US. So the video might be slightly bearish, but of course here in the long term, medium term, whatever, maybe even short term, this thing is of course going to be flying here further to the upside. So have patience, guys. And as I think what's the most important thing is I've been trading here for Bitcoin for about 9 years now. Basically, patience, guys, is going to be the most important thing. I think they did a research once where they found out what's the difference between profitable traders and non-profitable traders. And the biggest difference with profitable traders was that they held their position for a long time in profit. And generally speaking, patience pays off. Some people think oh, you make a good money like this, close your long position. But to actually set aside, again, the profitable traders from the bad traders is just the patience. So that is what I'm going to continue to comply here to. I know the statistics. I know how the probability is probably going to be. Of course, I'm just a guy on the internet, but I think they're heavily inside my favor. So I will continue to hold the position and be patient, and I will let this thing play out. With that, I want to end this video. I hope to see you guys, of course. Oh, by the way, subscribe and like. And I hope, of course, see you guys here in my next video. Bye-bye.